and you filed your VA claim. 6 months later, you get a decision letter and you find out that one or more of your claims has been denied. In this video, what we're going to be covering is what you need to do when a claim gets denied. If you're new here, my name is Lucas Sumner. I'm the CEO and founder of VetClaims.ai. I'm a Purple Heart recipient from the war in Afghanistan. I'm a former paratrooper. So let's dig in. Where we need to start with the decision letter. What you should be doing is looking at that decision letter past the first page. Now, what 99% of veterans do is they'll get a decision letter back and they will say, "Oh my God, I got denied." And that might be the truth, but they're only looking at the first page. You got to keep going and keep going and keep going until you get into the denials and the rationale for the denials. Let's use sleep apnea as an example. So let's say one of the claims you filed that was denied was sleep apnea, and you're reading this decision, and what it says is, we can see that you have a disability, there is a diagnosis, but there's a lack of service connection. Now look at how far you've already come by not just looking at the first page of the decision letter, because now with this rationale for the denial, what the VA did is they just told us what we're missing. They said, "Hey man, we get it, but you failed to show the VA how to connect the dots between, you got a diagnosis, here's how it's connected to service, and here's how severe it is." All right, those are 3 things you got to connect. Now with service connection, how do we fight this, right? You didn't get a sleep study in service. Who the hell does? How do I prove service connection? Well, there's a couple ways, right? The first of which, and perhaps the strongest, is the buddy letter. Who were you deployed with, or who did you bunk with, right? Who was in your general quarters while you were sleeping? Can one of them write a buddy letter saying, "Hey, like back when we were stationed at Bragg, he was my roommate. I can hear from across the barracks that this dude would stop breathing." It was wild. I had to wake him up, scared, terrified me. That right there, giving a date, it happened in service, buddy letter, boom, there's your service connection. VA is going to be hard pressed to deny that. Now let's say that, unfortunately you don't keep in contact, or you don't know if anybody from in the service really witnessed you having sleeping issues per se. What's your next opportunity to service connect this disability? Well, what we need to do is we need to go and look at what else you're currently service connected for. Do you have a PTSD rating? Because if so, let me tell you one more thing. You can get that shit connected. There are medical journals, numerous, that back, verify, and have peer-reviewed studies that connect PTSD and sleep apnea. So how do you leverage that? We leverage that by writing yourself a badass Nexus letter, doing the damn research. And if you don't want to, shameless plug to go to vetclaims.ai, because guess what? That's why we're the #1 claim firm in America. Now let's say this. You don't have a PTSD service connection. What's another thing that we can do? So I was a paratrooper. I fell out of airplanes. I was like 225 with a 6-pack. Add in combat load, I was probably 275, 280 jumping out of a damn plane. Not a great time hitting the ground at 15 miles an hour with all that. Now you have knee injuries because you're a paratrooper, and now you're out of the service, and what's happened? Well, your knee injuries have progressed. They limit your exercise. They make it painful to run. You can't run anymore, actually. So what happens naturally? Well, you gain weight. So what happens when you gain weight? I hate to tell you, but your chest gets heavier. And then you have sleep apnea. Boom. So what is the claim that we can make? There's a thing called intermediary disabilities. Things that aren't necessarily something you can get rated for or paid for by themselves, but can be a stopgap, a middle step between a service-connected disability and another service-connected disability. So what you do is you say, I have sleep apnea, secondary to obesity, which is intermediary to this service-connected knee injury. It could be your knees, your hips, your back. I've even seen it work where people claim that depression caused the intermediary obesity or weight gain, and then that causes sleep apnea. So there's many routes you can take, and you will never know that you can even look into those routes or explore those routes. You're not even on the right mission if you don't go all the way through your decision letter. The next one, and this is going to be groundbreaking, but I tell you, I see it every single day, and it's interesting and it's painful. Veterans will see on their decision letter, the VA says I don't have a diagnosis, but clearly I'm missing an arm. 99.9% of the time when the VA says you don't have a diagnosis, they're literally just saying, hey, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. That's literally it. There is a bit of obfuscation where I will give people credit on how you can get confused here, because going to the doctor alone and you just say, I got migraines. And I'm like, all right. Cool. That alone doesn't constitute a diagnosis, right? Because some of these things, there's not a test they're going to do. So how do you get that? The #1 tried, true, proven, straightforward, easy, efficient way to do this is to present a medication or prescription. Whether you ever use that prescription or not, that prescription, that's in your records, because every time a doctor gives you a prescription, they have to have a rationale. What are they prescribing it for? Thus, consequently, they are diagnosing you with whatever they're prescribing it for. That's how you tackle if your decision letter says get a diagnosis. Final piece of the decision letter we're going to hit on for this video is what to do if it's not quite a denial, but a lot of you veterans treat it like it is, If you get a 0, you should be celebrating, not sad. And here's why. Getting a 0 means that the VA told you got all the ingredients. You got the diagnosis, you got the service connection, you even have some degree of severity conveyed to them. So with the 0% rating, there's one thing left for you to do, and that is to go and look at the disability you got a 0 for and look at it on the schedule of ratings within 38 CFR. Within 38 CFR, it'll tell you, for example, migraines that are, and I'm making these numbers up, 10% rating is you have 2 migraines a month that are pretty gnarly, debilitating in nature. 30% is 4 migraines a month. And 50% is 3 migraines a week, 2 to 3 migraines a week. So let's say that you went to the CMP exam and you said, yeah, I have a couple bad migraines a month. They really suck. They cause me to, miss work. So you kind of did the right thing, but you weren't fully prepared for your CMP exam, which, by the way, as part of everything we do here at vetclaims.ai, we make sure for every disability that you're claiming, you have a thorough CMP preparation document, so this doesn't happen to you. So you got a 0%, right? What you did is you left room for error. You gave that CMP examiner the opportunity to generalize. You said a few. You didn't give them a number. And you said they're pretty bad. You didn't really get descriptive, especially not in the way that the schedule ratings does. Now you've got this 0%. Now that's a good thing because you don't have to fight the battle on service connection or diagnosis anymore. You just have to go get another CMP exam and use better words, right? Now I'm not telling you to lie or aggrandize for your disability, but I'm telling you that if in the schedule ratings, your disability looks like it describes a higher rating than you have, you need to go and tell them. And so how you do that is by filing a supplemental claim, getting the CMP exam, and ensuring that you talk about your migraines in a way that the VA understands and does not leave room for subjective interpretation. The next part of this we're going to go into is the supplemental claim. After your denial, how critical is the supplemental claim? Oh, to be honest with you, it's the most critical. Let's run with this migraine thing, right? We got the 0%. We think we should be at 30 or 50%. We looked at the schedule ratings. We know that our disability, our symptoms align with that. How do we get to X, right? You're going to do the 995 form, which is your supplemental claim, and you're going to say migraines. Now, the important part of this is you don't just submit a 995 that says migraines. Say, here you go. I'm appealing. You have to have a supplemental claim. It's called supplemental because you're adding supplemental evidence. You're adding to something. Where people get wrapped around the spokes and a lot of veterans get overwhelmed and intimidated is they think, well, what am I going to do for new evidence? The truth is you don't have to do all that much of anything. You write yourself a statement in support of the claim, and that's the new evidence. Write yourself a Nexus letter with some medical citations, some case law citations from the VA. That can be new evidence. You can do both. You can get a buddy letter. It doesn't matter. Anything can be new evidence, but you have to put something else that's new with the supplemental. And in order to make it meaningful and effective, what you really need to do is you need to write the lay statement, right? You need to write your statement in support of the claim, and you need a Nexus letter, not one that you pay in a doc in a box. You can write it yourself. You can go to vetclaims.ai. There's many routes possible, but that Nexus letter and that lay statement need to convey, hey, I was given a 0% for this migraine rating, and the truth is that, like, in the CMP exam, this is what I conveyed to that doctor. Regardless of how that doctor took the notes, these are my symptoms to this day. Here's a symptom log that I've kept, and it can be a spreadsheet or a screenshot of a spreadsheet or just a table you put in a Google Doc. You don't have to over-engineer this. The VA isn't saying you're lying. The VA is saying, I need you to show me. You put these documents together, you submit them with the supplemental plan, and you will get the rating that you deserve in very short order. These are the immediate action items for what to do if your claim is denied. If it was helpful to you or you think it would help another vet, please like, share, subscribe below. What I need you to do is spread the word so that we can help as many veterans as possible get the rating they deserve so that veterans can live the life they deserve. That's my mission. That's my company's mission. And if you need help getting the rating you deserve, go to vetclaims.ai.